Welcome back to another Flutter video. My name is Orhan. In this video, we will learn how to create beautiful onboarding screens with the help of Flutter basic widgets. Furthermore, we will learn how to create list view and map our data with the corresponding widgets in the list view. And lastly, we will create a detailed section for each item of the list view, and in this screen, we will learn how we can create expansion tiles in Flutter. So without any further delay, let's start coding. So I have already created a new project and added few things. For example, debug show check mode banner, I have set it equal to false, and after that I have created a screen directory, and inside screen directory I have created three Dart files. First one is the onboarding screen, a stateful widget, and inside onboarding screen I am using a scaffold, and in the center of the screen I am only showing a text onboarding screen. After that I have a vegetable detail screen, and the third and the last screen is a vegetable listing screen. In this we are also using scaffold, and inside scaffold we are using a text widget that is showing vegetable listing screen in the center of screen. After that, in the utility directory I have already defined some colors. As you can see that there are two colors for every vegetable, because we are going to use linear gradient in the background in the list view and also on the onboarding screens. And as you can see, I have a model directory, and inside model directory I have defined a vegetable model in which I am including a title, a subtitle, image, and list of color for gradient colors, a description, and a list of string for nutrition values like the energy and everything, and the headline or the tagline, you can say. And after that, you can see there is a data directory, and inside data directory I have a Dart file that is a list of vegetables. Let me make it more clear. So for the vegetables array, I have defined the type, that is vegetable model, that we have defined before. And inside the vegetables array there are different elements or the objects, you can say, of a vegetable. As you can see, there are different data. For the title I have defined the name of the vegetable, the subtitle, the headline, the image. Inside image I have defined the image name, that is in the asset folder. And also for the nutrition there is an array of data that we will map inside the expansion tile inside our vegetable detail view screen. And after that I have an asset directory. As you can see that in the vegetable array, in the image parameter I have defined the names that are same to the image name that is in the assets directory. As you can see that these images have a transparent background, so I am using these images of different vegetables inside our application. So let's move to the next part. The most important part is that we have to add these assets inside our pubspec YAML file. So before that, I can show you that I have already added the assets directory inside the pubspec YAML file. Let's open the pubspec.yaml and let's scroll down. As you can see that inside assets I have defined the directory where all the asset images are present. Please make sure to add these asset images to pubspec YAML so that we can access these images later. So now without any further delay, let's start our application. As you can see that after a few moments the application will be up and running. As you can see that we are on the onboarding screen. Before that, let's make the simulator a little bit bigger so that we can easily see the changes on the screen. And let's hide the project panel or the directory panel so that the code is more clear. So now let's move on to the onboarding screen. First of all, let's remove the text from the center of the screen, and in place of the text we will use a container. So for you to use the container, we have to remove the constant modifier at the top. Let's remove constant, and now the error is gone. For the container, the width we will give it a media query dot of context dot size and dot width, and I will use and multiply it with 0.95. So why are we using media query? So that on any device on which the application is running, it will get the size of that device. Same for the height, we will use media query dot of context dot size, and this time we will use dot height, and now we will multiply it with 0.85. And for the child, for the color, we will use colors dot black for now, so that we can just see the changes on the screen. So now if we reload our project, you can see that there is a container in the center of the screen. So what we can do is, if we want to cover the whole screen, we don't know how much the width or the height is, we can simply use a double dot infinity. And if we reload our project, you can see that the container is covering the whole width of the device. This is a small hint that you can use in your projects. So now if we reload our project and get back to the width and height, so now what we will do is we will use decoration. And for the container decoration, we use box decoration, and inside box decoration we will use border radius to just circle the edges of our container. And for the border radius, we will use border radius dot circular and give it 35 pixels. So now as you can see, there is an error because we have defined a color outside the box decoration. So if we are using box decoration, then we have to define color inside the box decoration of container. So now after reloading the project, you can see that there are beautiful curved edges of our container. So now moving on to the next part, what we need is let's list down what are the things that we need. First of all, let's use column because we are going to vertically align all the widgets inside our container. So I have listed all the elements that we are going to develop. First of all, we will create an image of a vegetable that we are going to show at the top of our column widget. So first of all, what we will do is we will use image.asset, and inside this we will define the directory where our image is present. So our image is present inside the assets directory with the name of bell peppers .png. So what we will do is we will simply type here bell peppers .png, the extension of our image. So to remove this error, we have to remove this constant from the top. And now if we reload our project, you can see that the image of our vegetable is present at the top of our column. What we want to do is we want to move this image to the center. For this we will use the main axis alignment property of column, and we will use main axis alignment dot center. So now that our image is showing on the screen, what our next step is, we will show the name of the vegetable. For this purpose, we will use a text widget, and inside the text widget we will type the name of our vegetable. For now we are doing it statically, but after that we will convert it to dynamic. The list we have created, we will attach the list to this column widget. So now we will give styling to this text. For this purpose we will use text style, and inside text style we will define the color. And for the color, for now we are going to use colors.white. Now let's reload our project. You can see that the name of the vegetable is in very small font. So what we will do is we will increase the font size to 36 pixels. And now if we reload our project, you can see that it looks more good now. Next we will make it bold. For this we will use font weight dot bold property. And now if we reload our project, you can see that the bell peppers are in bold form. So now what we will do is we need another text widget to show the headline or the tagline of the vegetable. For this purpose we will simply copy the text above and paste it down below. Now let's add some information about the vegetable, and let's change the font size. We will keep it to the default font size that we get with the text widget. Let's remove this font size, and also we want it to be the normal text. We do not want it to be bold, so we can remove this also. Now if we reload our project, you can see that it is showing exactly where we want it. We can use text align, and for this purpose we can set it to text align dot center, so that our text is aligned in the center of our column widget. So what we will do is for now we have only a small value here in the text string. What we will do is we can copy and paste it multiple times so that we have more text, so that we can handle it. As you can see that I have added more text, but the sides of the container are very close to the text. So how can we resolve this? We can add some padding to the text widget. For this we will use edge insets dot symmetric, and for the horizontal I will give 15 pixels padding. So now if we reload our project, you can see that there is some padding at the sides of the text, but the heading is very close to the vegetable name. What we can do is we can add a size box above with a height of 10 pixels. Now as you can see that there is a small distance between the vegetable name and the tagline. Similarly we can give a size box between the image and the vegetable name. This time we will give it a height of 30 to give some space. Now if we reload our project, you can see that there is a gap between the image and the vegetable name. So now what we want to do next is we want to draw the page indicators on which page we are. Before that, we will wrap our center widget inside a page view builder. So basically, page view builder is the main widget of Flutter that we will use to create onboarding screen. So now let's type page view dot builder, and page view builder require two parameters. First one is the item count. Item count contains how much screens we want to make. So we will add 3, and for the item builder, we have to return a widget inside the item builder. So we have already created this widget of container, so we will simply copy this from here, remove the child, and we will paste it inside a item builder. So let's remove the comma from the end and add semicolon. To remove these errors, what we want is we want to pass the context inside item builder, context of our widget, and after that we have to pass the index also. So now if we reload our project, as you can see that no error, and there are 3 screens. As you can see, we are swiping, but there are 3 screens. The vegetables are the same, the name is same, because we are giving the static data. So to make it dynamic, what we can do is we can simply go into our center widget, that is the main widget. Firstly, let's start with changing the color of our background. So for this purpose, we are going to use gradient, and gradient requires an array of colors. So for we will pass colors.black and colors.gray. So as you can see that there is an error. So what we will do is we have to specify the gradient, which gradient we are going to use. In our scenario, we are going to use linear gradient, and inside linear gradient there is a colors property, and inside colors property we have to pass the array of colors. So now if we reload our project, you can see that there is a beautiful gradient, but the gradient is from left side to the right side. What we want is we want it from the top center to bottom center. For this purpose, there are properties with the name of begin, and inside begin what we can do is we can set the alignment of the gradient, and we will set it equal to top center. That is the beginning of our gradient. And for the end, similarly we can set the alignment. We can set the alignment to alignment dot bottom center. As you can see, now if we reload our project, you can see that the gradient is starting from the top and it's coming to the bottom. Same goes for all the screens. So now what we will do is we want to change according to the data that is present in our vegetables array that we have defined in our data.dart file. So you can see there are gradient colors, color onions dark, color bell pepper dark. There are different colors that we are going to use from the app utils file that we have defined there. So now what we will do is instead of using the colors here, the array, we can simply call the vegetables array that we have defined in data.dart, and for the index we can pass the index that we are defining inside the item builder, and for the index from the index property we can call the dot gradient colors. As you can see that the error has gone, and now if we reload our project, you can see that there are the bell peppers colors that we have defined in our data.dart file. So now moving to the next part, what we can do is we can change the image.asset path of our image, what we have statically defined. In the start, I have already explained that I have named the images same equal to the vegetable names. So we can simply call the vegetables, and from the index, same index, we can call the image. So I have reloaded the project. You can see that inside our vegetables array, the image names are the same as of the vegetable name. So now if we swipe, you can see that the images are changing and the gradient colors are changing, but the vegetable name and the vegetable taglines are the same. So what we can do is for the text, title text or the vegetable name text, we can use the same strategy. We will use the vegetable array and the index that is coming from the item builder, and we will use the property dot title. Let's add constant to remove these warnings, and now same let's go for the tagline headline. Let's remove this, and after removing this we will simply call the vegetable array. We will pass in the index that is coming from item builder, and we will call the property description or the headline, sorry, and we will remove the constant and add constant modifier everywhere to remove the yellow warnings. Now if we reload our project, you can see that the headlines are changed according to the vegetables, and almost everything is we have changed everything that we need here. So now let's swipe, and as you can see that the images, the name of the vegetable and the headline of the vegetables all are changing. So now let's make the count to 4, and now if we reload our project, you can see that the 4 page views are created for different vegetables. As you can see, sweet potatoes are added at the end of the page view. So now what we want to do is we want to create the page indicator, so that we can show to the user at which page he is present and how much of the pages are remaining. So for this purpose, what we can do is we can create another function with the return type of widget. We will name this function build page indicators, and inside this we will return a row, because we are going to show the page indicators in the row format. That is why we are using row. Inside row, first of all, what we will do is we will set the main axis alignment to main axis alignment dot center. So that's how we can align all the widgets in the center of our row. And after that, the row accepts array of children. So in our scenario, what we can do is we can simply use a list, and we will give it a type of widget, and we will use the method dot generate. And inside generate, it takes 2 parameters. Firstly, it will takes the count. Here we are going to pass 4, and after that it takes the index parameter. And after index parameter, we are going to call a simple container. That's how we can also pass the array of widgets to the children. And inside the container, what we will do is we will do set the width equal to 10 pixels and height equal to 10 pixels, and we will use margin so that we can give spacing between the containers. So for the margin, we will use edge insets dot symmetric, and we will set it equal to horizontal 4 pixels. And for the decoration, inside the box decoration of container, we will set the shape of the container equal to box shape dot circle. So now let's define the color. For the color, we are going to use colors dot. Let's give a white color for now. So let's add constant modifier to remove yellow warnings, and now let's call this build page indicator inside our column widget. Now if we reload our project, wait for a moment, you can see that there are page indicators. We have 4 page indicators because we are defining 4 page view builder also. So now what we can do is we can add some size box with a height of 80 pixels after the headline of our vegetable. So now as you can see that they are properly aligned at the bottom of the screen. So what we want to do is we want to make all the other page indicators grayish, and only the one that we are on the current page we want to make it white. So for this purpose, we will define a variable with the name of current page of integer type, and we will set the value equal to 0. So what we will do is now in the page view builder there is a method with the name of on page changed. What we can do is inside the on page changed, we will use set state to change the current page. Set state, we can use set state inside the stateful widgets to change the state of the variable. Before that, we have to pass the page number int page, and after that we will use set state, and inside set state we will set the current page equal to the page that is coming from the page indicator or the page view builder. So here inside our build page indicator method, what we will do is we will check if the current page is equal to the index that is coming from this list dot generate that we are doing above. If the both of them are equal, then we will set the color equal to white. If it is not the same, then we will set the color equal to colors dot gray with a shade of 600. Now to remove these errors, because we are using variables, we have to remove this constant. And now if we reload our project, as you can see that the first page indicator is white, and all the others are grayish. Now if we move into the next screen, you can see that the white indicator is changing, because we are making sure we have made sure in the page indicator on page changed, so that the pages are being changed and the indicator is moved. As you can see that our page indicator is working fine. So what we want to do is at the end of our page builder, we need to add get started button. so that the user can know that he is at the end of the page builder or the onboarding screens, and now he has to move towards our landing screen of the application. So what we can do is we can here add a get start button. So how can we know that we are at the end of the screen and we need to show the on start button? So for this purpose, what we will do is we will check if the current page is equal to 3. So now, as you know that the index start from 0 up to we are using 4 page views. It will be 0, 1, 2 and 3. There are 4. So we will check if the current page is equal to 3, then we will show a widget with the name of start button. We will create it later. And if it is not equal to 3, we will show a simple container. It will show nothing. Same goes for the size box height, because if we are using a button, we have to provide some height between the button and the page indicators. So what we can do is we can check if the current page is equal to 3, we will use a size box of 20, else we will show a simple container. So now let's create a new Dart file with the name of start button. Let's create a new Dart file with the name of start underscore button underscore widget. So now we are in the start button widget. We will use a stateful widget for now, and we will name it equal to start button. So now let's import the material library so that the errors are gone, and let's convert the stateful widget to stateless widget, because we are not working with the states here. So on the onboarding screens, let's import the start button widget so that the errors are gone. So now that the errors are gone, we can simply move. We have to restart the application to see the changes that we have made for the start button. So now we have restarted our application. So let's move to the last screen. As you can see, there is a render flex overflowed because we haven't removed the placeholder from the start button here. So now, as we know that our start button widget is working, so what we can do is we can simply replace the placeholder with the size box of width 180. So now we reload our project, you can see that nothing to show here because we haven't provided any height to it. What we will do is we will provide a child widget to size box, and we will use an elevated button inside this. For the elevated button, there are two properties, on pressed and a child property. Inside the on press property, we will define what we want to happen if the user presses this button, and inside child property we will define what we want to show on the button. So what we will do is we will use a row widget here because we want to show a text and also an icon, get started, and a icon at the end. So what we will do is we will set the main axis alignment to main axis alignment dot center of the row, and after that we will use children, and the children accepts an array of widgets inside a row. So what we can do is we can use a simple text widget, and we will pass a text of get started. Now we reload our project, you can see that there is a beautiful button above the page indicators. Let's give some styling to our text widget. For this we will use text style, and inside text style we will give it a font size of 16, and let's change the font weight of the text to the bold. Let's make it bold. So for now we will add the color. For now we change it to colors dot white. So now if we change the color to colors dot white, you can see that the text on the button and the background of the button are same. So how can we change the styling of the elevated button? For this we have to use a parameter named style, and it will take a button style in which we can change the background color, the shape of the button, or the radius of the button. So for this what we will do is, for background color we have to call a property with the name of material state property, and we will choose its method dot all, and we have to define the type we are going to change the color, and we will provide the color, and we will provide a color colors dot gray. As you can see that the color of the button is changed and the text has appeared on it. So now what we will do is we will give some padding to the button. So for this purpose we will use a material state property again with the dot all, and after that we have to define the type. That type is edge insets, and after that edge insets geometry, and inside the material state property dot all we have to define that how much we want to add the padding. For this purpose we will use edge insets dot symmetric, And inside symmetric we can use two parameters, horizontal and vertical. For the horizontal we will give 16 pixels, and for the vertical we will give 10 pixels. Let's add constant to remove the warnings. And now we reload our project, you can see that there is a slight increase in the width and the height of the button. So what we will do is we will give a shape to our button style. For this we have to again call the material state property dot all. We have to define the type. We are going to use rounded rectangle borders. So inside rounded rectangle borders, what we will do is we will change the border radius. We will set the border radius because we do not want exactly it to be rectangular. We want it to be the slightly curved buttons. So for this purpose we will use border radius dot circular and give it a 25 pixels. So now if we reload our project, you can see that there is not much changed there. After that what we will do is we will use side property of rounded rectangle border, because we are going to give color to the border of our button. For this purpose we will use colors dot white. And now if we reload our project, you can see that there is a white border at the edges of our button. So what we will do is in the row widget we have to add an icon at the end. And before that let's do the indentation of our code so it is more easily readable. So now let's add an icon. For the icon we will use icons dot chevron underscore right. So let's reload our project. You can see that there is an icon but its color is black, so we can change the color to colors dot white, and we can also increase the size to 24 pixels. And now if we reload our project, you can see that our start button is complete and we can move to the next step. As you know, beforehand we have created our screens, a vegetable listing screen, because we are going to move to this screen. So on pressed button, what we will do is we will use a navigator. Navigator is used to push the screens on one another. For this purpose we will use navigator dot push, and inside this we have to pass the context of the widget and also the material page root. And for the material page root we are going to provide the name of our widget on which we are going to move, that is vegetables listing screen. Let's add commas and add constant modifier to remove the warnings. And now if we reload our project, let's make sure to reload the project or restart our project so that it can properly take effect. So our application is start. As you can see that the page view builder is working properly, and we are at the end of our page view builder. You can see a get started button. As you can see there is a get started button at the end of the page view builder, and if we click on it, you can see that we are moved towards the vegetable listing screen. We have only pushed the screen, so we push the screen on our previous onboarding screen, so it is in the stack. We can move forward and backwards. So inside our vegetables listing screen we are going to use a list view because we are going to list all the vegetables that are present in our data.dart file. So for this purpose we have to use the list view widgets. List view widget needs an array of children. So what we can do is we can simply call the vegetables array from our data.dart file that we have defined beforehand, and we can map it. We can map every element equal to some widget. What we will do is what it does is we call the vegetables dot map function, and inside the map function it returns I have named e for now, we will change it to vegetables, and we will simply against that object or element we can return a widget. For now I am using a padding, and for the padding I am giving it edge insets dot all 4.0 to show on the screen. And after that padding, what we can do is we can give some child property to it, and for now I am going to use a container so that just show you how it works. For now we will give it a color, colors dot red. Let's remove this constant to remove errors. And now for the container we will add some width and height so that it is shown on the screen. As you can see, it is not showing because we haven't defined the height of our container. So what we can do is for container, let's give a width of 20 pixels and let's give a height of 20 pixels. And now if we reload our project, you can see that there are a number of which containers shown on the screen equal to the elements in our vegetable array. So we know that it's working. So what we can do is we can remove this container and we can actually code the widget that we want here. What we want here, we want to create a vegetable tile widget. So I haven't defined the vegetable tile widget beforehand, that's why it's showing error. So let's move to our project panel, and inside our widgets directory, let's create a new dart file with the name of vegetable underscore tile underscore widget. So now what we are going to do is we will define a stateless widget with the name of vegetable tile widget, and we are going to import material library to remove the errors. And let's remove this placeholder, and in the place of placeholder we will define a container. Now let's move backward and import vegetable tile widget here to remove the errors. And now if we reload our project, you can see that our project is working fine. Let's close this project directory to make the code more clear. So now what we need here is we need to have a vegetable parameter here that we can use to call all the required data that is inside the data.dart file. So now what we can do is inside container, let's remove the container and let's use row, because we are going to align widgets in a row format. First of all, in row, what we are going to use is we are going to use a container with the width of 80 pixels, and we will give it a height of 80 pixels. And for the alignment, we will set the alignment equal to alignment dot center, because inside this we are going to show the image of our vegetable. So inside the decoration, we are going to use box decoration, and for the box decoration we will give it a radius. For the radius we will use border radius property, and here we will give border radius dot circular equal to 8 pixels. And after that we will define the box shadow parameter. For this we have to pass an array, inside the array we have to initialize the box shadow. For this purpose, what we will do is we will define the color, and we will define the color dot from RGBO, in which RGB represents the color and O represents the opacity. For RGB we will give 0, and for the opacity we will set it equal to 0.3. The 0 colors are equal to black. The RGB, if we define the value is equal to 0, it is black, and for the black color we are giving an opacity of 0.3. For the blur radius we are giving a value of 3, and for the offset, and inside offset there are two offset x-axis and y-axis. For both of them we are going to give 2 pixels. And after that we are going to give a gradient to our container, and for the gradient we are going to use linear gradient. And for the colors, what we are going to do here is we are going to call the parameter, the variable that we have defined above in the vegetable tile widget. So we will call the variable vegetable, and we will call the property dot gradient colors from our data.dart file. So now we have given the gradient. What we want to do is we also want to give a child to this container. For the child we are going to use image.asset, and inside image.asset I am going to use assets directory, and inside assets directory we are going to use a string interpolation, and I am going to call a vegetable dot image here, the name from the data.dart file, and I have added the extension at the end .png. Now if we reload our project, you can see that there is an error inside our vegetable listing screen. We haven't provided the required parameter. So for the vegetables, let's replace this E with a vegetable, and now let's call this inside the vegetable tile widget. So now we have to remove this constant widget to remove the warning, and let's add constant to the padding. So now if we reload our project, you can see that instead the red containers, you can see they are containers with images and box shadow to it. You can see that all the images, all the vegetables present in our vegetable array inside a data.dart file as listed above. So now what we can do is let's move back to our vegetable tile widget and complete the required user interface. So what we will do is for the gradient we have to add the begin and end alignment, because for now it is from left to right. What we want to do is we want to set the beginning from alignment dot top center, and we want to set the end to alignment dot bottom center. So now if we reload our project, you can see that the colors alignment is changed now. So we are done with this. So now what we want to do is, after that we want to define the title, the subtitle of the vegetable. So for this purpose we are going to align these both text widget inside a column. So what we can do is we can give a size box with a width of 10, and after that we will use an expanded widget with a child of column, and inside column we will use a children widget. Before that we will set the main axis alignment property to main axis alignment dot center, and the cross axis alignment property to cross axis alignment dot start, so that both the text widgets, the text start from the leftmost corner. So inside the children array, let's define a text widget. For the text we are going to use a vegetable dot title, and now if we reload our project, let's reload the project, you can see that the vegetable names are shown on the right side of the images. So what we will do is we will give some styling to this text. For this purpose we will use text style, and inside text style we will give a font size of 18 pixels, and for the font weight we are going to set the font weight dot bold. So we want to make our text a little bit bold. So now if we reload our project, you can see that the vegetable names are in bold and the font size is increased. So what we can do is we can simply copy this text and again paste it down below. So for now what we can change is we can change the vegetable dot title to subtitle to show the tagline, and for the font size we can decrease it to 14.0, and we will remove the font weight because we want it to normal font, and for the color we will give it a colors dot gray. So now if we reload our project, you can see that after the vegetable name there is a beautiful grayish subtitles that is showing some taglines for our vegetables. So now what we can do is in the vegetable listing screen, you can see that the vegetable tile widgets are at the leftmost of the screens. We can give some spacing, and before that we can also add a scaffold at the top, so that we can give an app bar to it. The scaffold property contains a lot of different widgets or the parameters that you can use. We are going to use an app bar, and for this we will give a app bar with the name of vegetables. So now let's give some padding to our vegetable tile widget. So let's wrap our list view inside a padding widget, and for this we will set edge insets dot symmetric, and for the horizontal we will give 4 pixels. Now if we reload our project, you can see that there is a little spacing around our tile widgets. So let's restart our application to check the whole progress that we have made. So from the onboarding screens, let's press on get started, and as you can see that there is a beautiful app bar at the top, and we have given a title vegetables. So what we want to do is when we press on any vegetables in the listing, we want it to move towards the vegetable detail screen. So for this purpose what we can do is we can wrap our vegetable tile widget inside a gesture detector. Gesture detector give us different methods like on tap, on long tap. We were going to use on tap in this scenario, and we will use navigator dot push similarly that we have used on our start button. We are going to pass the context, we are also going to pass the material page route, and inside the material page route we have to define the widget on which we are going to move. So in our scenario it is vegetable detail screen. Let's add commas and add constant to remove the warnings. And now if we reload our project and click on any item from the vegetable listing, you can see that we have moved toward the vegetable detail screen. So now as you can see our vegetable listing screen is finalized, and we are going to make changes to our vegetable detail screen. So first of all let's remove this center widget, and after the scaffold inside body we are going to use column widget. First of all, in the column widget what we will do is we will use a container here because we want to show the image and the background color of our gradient at the top of our vegetable detail screen. So now what we will do is inside container for the child purpose, before that how can we get the data from our previous screen. what we will do is we will define a variable with the name of with the type of vegetable, and we will make it required inside the constructor of vegetable detail screen. So whenever we move to this screen, we have the data with us. Whenever the vegetable detail screen is called from any other place, we will provide the vegetable data. So now what we will do is inside the container we will add the decoration. For the box decoration we will use gradient. So as you can see, there is an error. We have to add the vegetable to our vegetable details screen. So let's call the parameter here vegetable, and let's add the vegetable that we are getting from our list view. So now if we restart the application, you can see that it is showing null because we haven't provided the data to our vegetable detail screen. For this purpose we have to restart our application so that it is in a flow. And now if we select any vegetable from our list view, you can see that we have moved towards the vegetable detail screen, but it's empty because we haven't shown anything. So for now, for the linear gradient, what we will do is we will set the beginning and the end equal to alignment dot top center and alignment dot bottom center respectively. So now we are done with the gradient of our vegetable. After that, what we will do is we will add a child to our container, and for the child we are going to use a column, and inside column, as we know that we have to provide the children array. First of all, we will use image.asset, and inside this we will pass the path of our image and also the extension of our image, that is .png. Now if we reload our project, you can see that the image and the background gradient is showing, but it is under the notch of our font. So for this purpose what we can do is first of all, let's give padding 30 from the sides, and we can also add a size box at the top of our padding widget to give some spacing from the top. So in this scenario I will use a height of 35 pixels. Let's add constant and reload our project. You can see that now the image is right in the center and it looks perfect now. So after that what we want to do is let's move back and change. You can see that the vegetables are changing, the images and the gradient colors, both of them are changing. So now what we will do is let's wrap this widget, and after that we will add the title to this vegetable. So let's add a text widget, and inside text widget we will call the vegetable variable that we have defined above, and we will use vegetable.title. And if we reload our project, you can see that the vegetable name is showing right in the center of our column. So what we can do is we can set the cross axis alignment of our column to cross axis alignment dot start. As you can see, it is in the start of the screen. What we will do is we can wrap our text widget inside a padding widget, and for this edge insets dot all we can change it to symmetric. So now for vertical we will give 20 pixels, and for horizontal we will give 15 pixels. Let's give 15, and now if we reload our project, you can see that the vegetable name is from, there are some spacing from the sides. So now for the styling of our vegetable title, what we can do is we can use text style, and the font size we will increase it to 32.0, and for the font weight we will use font weight dot bold. And if we reload a project, before reloading let's change the color. For now what we will do is we will use a vegetable variable that we had defined above, and for the gradient colors we are going to use a first value, the second value 01, the dark one. As you can see that the bell peppers are in a dark color of the gradient portion. So now we are going to define the headline here. For this purpose we have copied the same text above and we have placed it down below. Let's give some spacing at the top between the title and the headline. For this purpose we will use a size box with a height of 10 pixels. And now if we reload our project, you can see that the headline font is 36 also. Let's decrease the font to 14 and set it equal to normal, and let's keep the font color that is by default black. If we now reload our project, you can see that the vegetable dot headline is showing perfectly, but there is a lot of space between bell peppers and the description. So what we can do is firstly let's align the text to text.justify, so it covers the whole space and it does not give spaces between the lines. And now let's decrease the vertical alignment to 10. And now if we reload our project, you can see that there is still so much space. So what we can do is let's remove the vertical alignment from here. And now if we reload our project, you can see that the space has been decreased and it looks more good now. So moving on to the next part, what we want to do here is we want to show an expansion tile that whenever the user clicks on it, it increases in size, and whenever the user again presses on it, it decreases. So before doing that, let's complete the remaining description of our vegetable. For this purpose, what we will do is we can simply copy the code from above. Let's give some size box with a height of 30 pixels beforehand, at the bottom of the expansion tile, also at the top of the expansion tile. After that, we are going to use text widget. Let's copy from above that we have used and let's paste it down below. So now all the things remains the same. We are only going to change the headline to description. So now let's add dot trim if there are an extra spaces in our data. Let's change the font size to 12. And now if we reload our project, you can see that the description of our vegetable is also showing on the screen. So now if we go back and select any other vegetable, you can see the name, the description, the headlines are changing. Let's move down and let's select zucchini vegetable. As you can see that all the information for all the vegetables are dynamically changing. So now what we will do is in the expansion tile, we are going to use vegetable details tile, and we are going to define this in our widgets directory. Let's go to our widget directory, and inside our widget directory, let's create a new dart file with the name of vegetables underscore details underscore tile. Let's create a stateless widget here with the name of vegetables details tile. So to remove the errors, we have to import material library, and instead of placeholder, we are going to use a container here. So to use container, we have to remove this constant modifier, and inside vegetable details tile, we have to import this in vegetable details screen. So now let's define a variable as we have done before with the type of vegetable with the name of vegetable, and in the vegetable details tile we will call this in the constructor, we will call this and make it required. So now moving back to our vegetables details screen, let's pass the vegetable here that we are working with. So now we are done with this and we have removed the error. So now let's focus on our vegetable details tile. It's a bit tricky now. In our vegetable details tile, we have to define array of strings, the keys for our nutritional value array that we have defined in our data.dart file. So for this purpose, we will create a list of string with the name of nutrients, and inside this array we have to pass the keys to our nutritional array values inside of data.dart, which is energy, sugar, fat, protein and vitamins. And for now let's remove the container, and in the place of container we can return a card. Let's give it an elevation of 5.0. For the margin, let's set equal to edge insets.0, and for the child of the card, let's use expansion tile, that is the already defined widgets in our Flutter. So in the expansion tile, what we are going to do is we are going to define the title. For the title, we are going to use text widget, and inside text widget we will define nutritional value per 100 gram. Let's give some styling to this. For the styling purpose, we are going to use text style, and inside text style we have to provide the font size that we are going to set equal to 13.0. Let's add constant to remove the yellow warnings. And now if we reload our project, you can see that there is a beautiful tile that is present in the center, but it is not expanding because it haven't any data inside it. So what we can do is let's go back to our vegetable details screen, and let's add padding to our vegetable details style. We will add symmetric edge insets dot symmetric and give horizontal 15 pixels. Now we reload our project, you can see that now our expansion tile is right in the center and it looks more beautiful now. Let's go back to our expansion tile. So what we want here is inside our expansion tile we have defined the title, and after the title we have a parameter of children which required an array of widgets. In our scenario we have done in our past screens, we can simply map our nutrients that are energy, sugar, fat we have defined above, and against every one value we are going to define a column, and inside the column we will define different data, and at the end we have to add dot to list so that the nutrients are converted into widgets which are a list that is provided to children parameter. So inside the column what we will do is we will use children widget, and for the children widgets firstly we will add some divider inside this to divide them. Divider is basically a defined widget in Flutter that gives us a flat line that we can set the height equal to 2.0, and for the color we can set it equal to colors.gray. If we now extend our expansion tile, you can see that there are different borders according to the values of the nutrients that are present above that we have defined the array of nutrients. And after that what we can do is we can use a list tile, and inside list style what we can do is we can use a leading parameter, and for the leading parameter we can use an icon, and we can set the icon equal to icons dot info underscore outline, and for the color we can set the color equal to vegetable dot gradient colors, and for this we will pass value of 1. Let's remove this constant to get rid of error. So now if we reload our project, let's reload our project and now expand our nutritional value, you can see that there is a render flex error. How can we resolve this? We can simply wrap our column inside the vegetable detail screen inside a single child scroll view, and now if we reload our project you can see that the error is gone and it is scrolling easily. So now you can see that our icon of info underscore outline is showing. After this what we will do is we will add title, and for the title we are simply going to use the nutrient that are coming from our nutrients array that we have defined above. To give the styling we have to use text style, and for the text style we will set the font weight equal to font weight dot w500 to make it less bold but more than normal, and for the color we will set the color equal to same vegetable dot gradient colors with the index 1. So now if we reload our project you can see that the nutrients the keys are shown, but for the values we have to map them to the values in our data.dart file. For this purpose in the list style we are going to use trailing property, and inside the trailing we are using a text widget. For now it's a bit tricky here. We will use a vegetable dot nutrition that we have defined in our data.dart file. From there we are going to pass an index that is of the nutrients array that we have defined in our vegetable detail style, where you are going to use the nutrients dot index of nutrient that is we have defined above. So that's how we are getting index from here, and we are going to call the nutrition values that are present inside our data.dart file. So now if we reload our project you can see that the values are aligned to the keys that we have defined above inside our nutrition array. So now our project is complete. Let's add some size box to the end of our description, vegetable description, so that whenever the user is at the end of the screen there is still space at the bottom. As you can see that now we have resolved their situation. So we have, for now we have completed our project. Let's restart our application and let's go from our onboarding screen. As you can see that on the onboarding screen the text isn't look more attractive. What we can do is we can also add shadows to the text. So as you remember in our listing vegetable listing screen we have added box shadow to our images container. What we can do is we can simply copy this code from here, and in our onboarding screen let's go to our title vegetable name where we have defined that. Let's go here and let's give a shadows, and inside shadows let's paste the code we are not going to use box shadows. Let's remove the box shadow, but all the other code remains the same. Let's remove the constant that is not required, and let's remove the comma. And if we set the indentation of our code, and now if we reload our project, you can see that there is a beautiful shadow to our text which looks more attractive now. So now we have completed our application. The onboarding screens are working fine. After that, we have our vegetable listing screen. As you can see, whenever we click on an image or a vegetable, we move towards the vegetable details screen. One more thing what we can do is, on the onboarding screen, we are only using navigator.push. Push, what it do is, it stack all the widgets upon one another. The user can move backwards and forward. So in our onboarding screen, we can replace the push with a push replacement, so that this back button is gone. So now if we restart our application, let's restart the application. Now let's go towards the get started button. As the user now press on it, there is no back button, or the user cannot move back from the system buttons also. That's why we can use navigator.push replacement, which is very much helpful. So that's it for now. Please make sure to like this video and leave a comment down below. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel, as it gives me confidence to keep sharing with you what I know. Thank you.